Obviously, the Strand subclass is the talk of the town when it comes to new things that were added with the Lightfall expansion. But with the new season, Season of Defiance, we actually have some cool artifact perks that we could take advantage of with the Solar subclass. And if you didn't know, the Dawn Course exotic helmet actually got a buff. So in this video, I wanted to give you guys a build that will allow you to ignite literally everything while taking advantage of the seasonal artifact perks and the buffed Dawn Course helmet. So like I said, the exotic we're going to be talking about is the Dawn Course. So this is what it looks like normally, but it actually came with an ornament this season, and I'm not gonna lie, I like it so much more than the original. But let's go over its perk. Rites of Ember. Your Daybreak projectiles cause targets to scorch on contact. Your scorch effects deal more damage, and you gain a small amount of melee energy each time your scorch effects damages a target. Essentially, the Daybreak super projectiles now can add scorch, and if you hit a target with multiple Daybreak projectiles, they will ignite, which is pretty cool. And every time you scorch the target, those allow you to deal more damage, which is great. Then obviously, anytime you scorch a target, you will get a small amount of melee energy back. Like I said, we want to take advantage of the artifact. So here's some perks that I recommend that you pick up in the artifact. So first up, I would look into authorized mods, solar, and grenades. Pretty much any armor mod that's affecting your solar weapons or your grenades is significantly discounted. So those mods that usually cost 2 or 3 are now only going to cost 1, which will allow us to focus on other mods that are going to cost more. So that's going to be good. Next up, Solar Surge. Collecting a fire sprite gives you an armor charge. The next one I'd look into is Flare Up. Fireball grenades apply more scorch stacks, damaging a combatant with a fireball grenade spawns a fire sprite near them. So again, it only has to damage them. You don't have to kill them. So that's pretty cool. Next up, Rain of Firebolts. When you have fireball grenades equipped, gain a second grenade charge. So now we'll have 2 fireball grenades. Now let's go over what I'm using under the Dawnblade Solar subclass. So super wise, I'm going with Daybreak so we can take advantage of the helmet, allowing us to scorch targets and do more damage with Daybreak. But if you did need to use Well of Radiance, for potentially higher activities, that's fine as well. But again, Daybreak is going to be the main one here. For your abilities, I'd recommend, Healing Rift, but you can go Empowering or Phoenix Dive. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Use your favorite movement ability. I like Burst Glide. For the melee, I'm going with Incinerator Snap, but again, Celestial Fire is a great option. You can use either one of these. I just like the Incinerator Snap because going Mustang, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. If you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend it. It's a great anime. Under the grenade, we want to go with the Firebolt grenade, obviously, so we could take advantage of the artifact perks. But a grenade that unleashes bolts of damaging solar light and nearby targets and slightly scorches them. So again, we're going to get 2 of these. It's going to spawn a fire sprite. And whenever we pick up a fire sprite, we're going to get an armor charge. So the Fireball grenade is going to be very important here. For aspects, I recommend Touch of Flame. Now, Touch of Flame gives advantages to certain grenades, Firebolts being one of them. So increases target search radius and maximum target count. So now we'll be able to hit 3 targets and have increased range on those targets, which is going to be really good. For the second aspect, I'm going with Heat Rises. Again, you can fire weapons melee and throw grenades while gliding. If you press your grenade button, you can hold to activate Heat Rises, consuming your grenade, and then Final Blows while airborne increase the duration of Heat Rises and grant melee energy. If you did want to use something like Icarus Dash instead, you can totally do so, but the main one here that we want to use is Touch of Flame. Now for the fragments I'm using, I would look into Ember of Char. Your solar ignition spreads Scorch to affected targets. Essentially, Scorch is a damage over time, and Scorch damage increases as the target accumulates more Scorch stacks. Eventually, after enough Scorch stacks are applied, they ignite, causes an ignition. Now, an ignition is a large solar explosion which deals damage in an area around the target and can stun unstoppable champions, which is going to be really good for this build. Next up is Ember of Mercy. When you revive an ally, you and other nearby allies gain restoration, but the main thing here is picking up a fire sprite grants restoration, and we get a +10 to resilience. Next up, Ember of Ashes. You apply more scorch stacks to targets, and then lastly, Ember of Searing. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire spray. Now, there are 2 other fragments I'd recommend looking into if you wanted to swap any of these out. First up would be Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. You get a -10 to discipline, but you do get radiant, which allows you to do more weapon damage for a short time. And while you're radiant, your weapons pierce the shields of anti-barrier champions and can stun them. So that's going to be good. And then also Ember of Empyrean. This is the other one I'd recommend looking into. Solar weapon or ability Final Blows extend the duration of restoration radiant effects applied to you, -10 to resilience, but as long as you're chaining kills, you can have restoration and radiant up constantly. So, like I said, I'd recommend looking into these 2, but these 4 are the ones that I'm going to be using for this build. Now let's go over the mods that I'm using. So first up here on the helmet, I'd recommend looking into Ashes to Assets, gain bonus super energy on grenade kills, then hands-on, gain bonus super energy on melee kills, and then lastly, Solar Siphon. Rapid solar final blows create an orb of power. On our gauntlets here, I have Grenade Kickstart. When your grenade energy is fully expended, you gain grenade energy. Additionally, your armor charge is consumed and you gain additional grenade energy for each stack. and then I have Impact Induction, causing damage with a melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown, and then Momentum Transfer, causing damage with a grenade reduces your melee cooldown. On the chest piece, I'm rocking Double Charged Up, increase the maximum number of stacks of armor charge you can carry by 1. Baseline, you get 3 armor charges. With 2 charged up, now we get 5. Then I'm rocking Solar Reserves, increase the amount of ammo you can carry for solar weapons. If you did want to rock triple charged up, or maybe replace one of these other charged ups with another reserve mod or resistance mod, I'd go for it, but I at least have 1 charged up. For our boots here, I'd recommend looking into Innervation. Reduces grenade cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power, and then Invigoration reduces melee cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power. And then lastly, Stacks on Stacks. Picking up an orb of power grants you 1 additional stack of armor charge. So whenever you pick up an orb of power, instead of 1 armor charge, now you get 2. And then lastly in the class item, I'm rocking Triple Bomber. Reduces grenade cooldown when using your class ability. Now, if you're looking for what stats to max out, first up, obviously you gotta have Resilience here. Having tier 10 Resilience is going to be crucial, giving you a 30% damage reduction in PvE. Next up, I'd look into Discipline. Discipline is tied to the grenade, and the higher Discipline stat you have, the faster you can get that grenade cooldown. Then lastly, I'd look into Strength. Again, Strength is tied to the melee, so the faster you can get that melee, the more you can scorch targets, and obviously we want to take advantage of, our melee and our grenade with this build. Now for weapon options, I would highly recommend looking into a weapon that could come with Incandescent or Enhanced Incandescent. So defeating a target spreads Scorch to those nearby. More powerful combatants and opposing guardians cause Scorch in a larger radius. And again, we want to take advantage of Scorch because that's how this build's going to work. If you're not catching the synergy here, I'm going to try to explain it the best way that I can, but essentially we're going to Scorch and Ignite everything, allowing for good damage from ignitions and good ad clear from Scorch and ignitions. So again, with the Dawn Chorus, our Scorch effects are going to deal more damage, and we get a small amount of melee energy each time we Scorch a target. Now, we're going to Scorch targets through our super, but mainly it's going to be our melee and our grenade, which is the Firebolt grenade, which is going to be improved by Touch of Flame, allowing us to hit 3 targets at a longer radius. We're going to get 2 Firebolt grenades because Rain of Firebolts. With Flare Up, when we damage a target with a Firebolt grenade, it's going to spawn a Fire Sprite, and then with Solar Surge, every time we collect the Fire Sprite, it's going to give us an armor charge. It stacks on stacks on our boots. Instead of getting 1 armor charge, now we get 2. On top of that, with our Fragments, Ember of Mercy, every time we pick up a Fire Sprite, we get Restoration. So with Restoration, we get that regeneration to health. Now, every time we Scorch a target, we're going to apply more Scorch stacks because of Ember of Ashes. With Ember of Searing, whenever we defeat a Scorch target, it's going to give us more melee energy and create another Fire Sprite, allowing us to have that whole Fire Sprite synergy happen again. But the main thing with Ember of Char, your Solar Ignition spreads Scorch to affected targets. So anytime we ignite a target, it's going to spread Scorch even more, allowing for an even faster cooldown of that melee. Now with our mods, on the helmet with Hands On and Ashes to Assets, every time we get a kill with our grenades or our melee, that's going to give us bonus super energy. With Momentum Transfer and Impact Induction, every time we do damage with our grenade and melee, we're also giving a cooldown to both of those, our grenade and melee, which is going to be great. Anytime we pick up an Orb of Power, from Solar Siphon, if we're going to be using solar weapons, again, Invigoration and Innervation both give us cooldown to our melee and our grenade. And if for some reason we don't have our grenade, we can always pop our class ability and Triple Bomber will kick in. Now, when it comes in the armor charges, like I mentioned, with Charged Up, again, we could get a maximum of up to 5 armor charges, which if we're getting kills with our grenade and melee, creating those Fire Sprites, we're going to get a bunch of armor charges. Once those are stacked up and we throw our grenade Kickstart is going to kick in, allowing for an even faster cooldown with that Firebolt grenade. So pretty much this build is allowing us to spam our melee and spam our grenades and allowing for a fast super cooldown. Once we have that super, once we have the Daybreak, again, we can use that on a boss, or if we just need to wipe out a bunch of ads, that's fine. But with Dawn Chorus allowing us to do even more damage and Scorch on contact, and enough Scorch stacks causing an ignition, we can do high damage to bosses as well. So pretty much, this is a mix of ad clear, explosions, and solid boss DPS. I know I'm a little sick right now, so I hope everything that I said made sense. So what are your guys' thoughts? What are your thoughts on the build? Again, leave those in the comments. If you think I could have maybe done something different, again, I'm always testing stuff in this game. But if you apply this build, again, I hope you have fun with it. You're going to just make everything blow up. In any event, if you guys like what you saw, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then turn that bell next to notifications so you don't miss out on another build video here on the channel. If you didn't know, we actually stream here on YouTube 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Friday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern with the Root of Nightmares raid contest mode being off, I will be doing carries with that, and I will be playing with viewers when it comes to PvP, dungeons, and a bunch of other activities. So again, if you want to hop in with that, just join the live stream and say, hey Dave, can I join? I'll say absolutely. And if you want to be proactive, join the Discord. That's going to give you access to pretty much everything, the schedule, any updates, and we're also talking about Destiny 2, obviously, and other games on top of PC Tech, anime, and more. Lastly, if you didn't know, we hit YouTube Partner here on the channel, which is just freaking awesome. It's given us a lot of benefits on the channel. One of those things being memberships. If you don't know what a membership is, it is essentially like a Twitch subscription. Again, you're going to get access to the exclusive emotes, the monthly badges, and other cool things here on the channel. So again, if you would like more information, all you have to do is press the join button next to subscribe, and that will give you a rundown with all the details you need. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been your boy. We'll catch you in the next one.